Welcome back to the show. We got some headlines for you. We got new updates, and it's not what we talked about this morning in the SEC versus Ripple case. It's in-camera review documents. We got an update on that, and we're going to hear from James K. Filan. We're going to hear from John Deaton. We're going to hear from Jeremy Hogan. Highlight from On the Chain with Steve and Chip. Great show last night. And we're also going to take a look at the Reves Test. I did a video yesterday. If you haven't checked it out, I really believe that there's a there. And it's not just me saying it. Gary Gensler's going to say it to you too. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
This is Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Subscribe for new content notifications. Now, here's Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow me on Twitter at BackUpBradleyAbove, and everything that we're talking about here today. $2.320 trillion market cap. It's climbing that mountain, baby. We're headed there. Right now, Bitcoin back underneath 55,000 for the moment. You know how quickly that moves. Ethereum at 3,600 right now. It's climbing up the wall. And Cardano is at 229. Shout out to Charles Hoskinson this morning. And XRP is at $1.08 right now, holding its own. Let's go ahead and look at the price range very quickly. We got a lot to go over here. And I really want to make a few points strongly today. 105.63 is the low side of the XRP price range. 109.12 is where we are on the upper end, sitting at 107, 108, fluctuating back and forth. Ladies and gentlemen, I tell you about private investing made simple by Linqto.com, LINQTO.com. Ripple is back on the board, baby. And look, 20 minutes ago, it was fully subscribed, sold out, right? Back on the board. How long will it last? Really depends on you, because I'm telling you, this stuff does not last long on here. And by the way, I saw Vero Bank added on here. I believe it was yesterday, and they were the bank. They were the first fintech bank to receive a national bank charter in 2020. That has been flying off the shelf when it comes to this. So make sure you check them out. Hit the button, see if you are accredited. And if you're not, find out what you need to do to become accredited. Looking right here, we have some flare news for Songbird at least. And we see that Copper HQ has said that in a bumper release, they will be honoring Songbird from Flare Networks. So look, it's good. But what about Coinbase? And we know Uphold has told us later this month you'll be able to get your Songbird to an external wallet, and then sometime shortly after that they will allow trading with Songbird as well. So we're getting there, but what's going on with Coinbase and Songbird? And heck, at that point, I'm ready for Flare too. Let's go ahead and get that. But here's where we want to start today. So James K. Filan, thank you, man. Listen, John Deaton, Jeremy Hogan, James K. Filan, I have to say, we are really, really blessed to have all of these people out here in this space. There's no question. And here we see Judge Netburn orders the SEC to submit for in-camera review the two documents related to the SEC's meetings with law firms and the email chain concerning discussions with a third party who received guidance from the SEC. The plot thickens, ladies and gentlemen. But let's keep going. It says in the second part of this tweet here, to analyze its digital asset under the framework set forth in Hinman's June 14, 2018 speech. Ooh, the SEC must also submit an explanation for its privilege assertions for all of those documents no later than October 15th, 2021. James K. Filan goes on to say here in the third part of this here as well that the SEC must also file a redacted version of its submission on the public docket. Defendant's response is due no later than October 22nd, 2021. So although that will be redacted, we won't know who those particular people are. Oh, I'm like where Bank XRP is. I like this part. We're going to get a peep into the window here, ladies and gentlemen. We may not get the names, right? but we're absolutely going to get a peep into the window here. So this is pretty darn exciting stuff that's moving. We'll have to look for that on October 22nd in another, 12 days or so, something like that, 12, 14 days. All right, so looking right here, Jeremy Hogan adds, a new fact comes out in this pleading. The exchange that went to the SEC relisting XRP in 2018 had an opinion from a law firm that XRP was not a security. This is more steroids for the fair notice defense. It's looking pretty beefcakey. Absolutely. Oh my goodness, South Park. All right, so looking right here, this is on the chain with Steve Chip and Jeff here. And I tell you, this is a fantastic interview, conversation, live stream here. I want to take you to this moment at 6:12 where you hear John Deaton speak, and then it will go to Jeremy from there. And just listen to what they're saying. And he's talking originally, the conversation starts with John Deaton talking about Hester Peirce in this to open this up. You'll quickly get with it here. Here you go.
Gary Genslers asked, is Bitcoin or Ethereum, is that a security? And there's a simple, absolute correct answer that any asset can be schemed, marketed, packaged into an investment contract with a company. But the asset itself, the underlying asset, is not a security. So Bitcoin in and of itself is not a security. XRP in and of itself, despite the SEC's allegations, is not a security, and neither is Ethereum. The question is, when a company has marketed, sold it, packaged it, have they done so and schemed it in a way that it constitutes it? And Hester Peirce, in her first interview with Tony, literally said she's trying to get the SEC away from thinking about the underlying asset as the security. Listen. And to me, it's ridiculous, because that would be saying that the oranges were the securities, right? Or that the orange grows themselves were securities. So I just don't understand why he avoids that kind of response.
What a great point John Deaton just made here. The equivalent of saying that the oranges in the Howey test or the orange trees are actually the security. You can't say it any better than John Deaton just said it here, but keep listening.
Because I don't think he wants to utter the words Bitcoin, Ethereum, or any asset isn't a security, because it limits his optionality, if you will.
And Jeremy,
I'm sorry. I was acting like the question was coming from a judge, and I was in the hearing not knowing what the hell the Reves test was all about. So I did exactly what I did in court last week. I pulled out my phone and I was down here figuring it out. You guys were talking. Were talking. It's a skill that every young lawyer must learn. It's called the phone in front of the judge research skill. So apparently the Reves test is basically starts from the presumption that the note is a security. So if the note meets the 4 prongs of the Howey test, which John just talked about, it's a security. The Reves test is kind of an exception to that rule, which says that if the note bears a family resemblance, that's a word that lawyers are going to love because it has no meaning whatsoever. But basically, the Reves test lays out various types of notes. And if your security note resembles one of those notes, it's not a security. So basically, it's an exception to the Howey test. And it looks like stuff like a note secured by a mortgage. That's not a security. A short-term note of less than 9 months. That's not a security. I saw on Twitter that was kind of coming up today. And I just didn't have time to look into it today. So that's what the Reves test is all about. I think there's some argument going on in Twitter on Twitter that that XRP might fall under that Reves test exception, and I just haven't looked into it. But that's what we're looking at: whether XRP is going to fall under a family resemblance to one of these enumerated note situations.
There you have it. And really, to be honest with you, that is in due in part. And shout out to John Deaton and Jeremy Hogan and Stephen, Chip, and Jeff. What a great show that was. And make sure you go watch it. But I put out a video yesterday that kicked this up a little bit. And I actually sent that to Attorney Jeremy Hogan and a few others, to check out. And it really comes up because of Gary Gensler himself. I have heard Gary Gensler say this at least 3 different times at different occasions here. And this, if you have not seen this video, there's the thumbnail right here. SEC Gary Gensler's hidden argument to corner XRP. And it may very well be, because I'm going to play for you, and I feel this is so important. And I want you guys to please retweet this, share the video I'm showing you here from yesterday. And if you have not seen it, please go watch it again. XRP A Note used as currency. This could be a path forward. And we want to take a look at this now. So this is the video I have here. XRP Gary Gensler talks, not Howey test, but Reves test. Is XRP a note? Security, non-security. Now, I want you to hear this from Gary Gensler's mouth. So this isn't just coming from me. I've heard him say this multiple times. So you have to wonder, why does he say this? You have to wonder also, in the face of everything we've talked about, and we certainly know that XRP does not qualify under the Howey test as a security. Ripple could go away tomorrow. XRP continues. Boom, that right there, over with. So, you know, why is the Reves test so important that Gary Gensler keeps mentioning it along with the Howey test? Listen to this exchange right here. I want you to hear what he says in the exchange with Warren Davidson. Now, keep in mind, we've had to take a look at the scary idea or notion of XRP being a security. We've had to take a look at the idea of it potentially a bond designation for it. Well, lesser termed items are not bonds. They're called notes. And you even have things, promissory notes, right? So just listen to this little quick exchange right here, what Gary Gensler says. And while you're getting ready to hear that, I want you to understand, too, that Gary Gensler is saying the Howey test and the Reves test in defense of the SEC's position that the majority of digital assets are, in fact, securities. Keep listening. It's not what I'm saying. Listen to what he says.
In some collective group of individuals. That's central test. It's called the Howey test. There's other broad brushes with regard to this as well, as to when something is a note, called the Reves test.
What did he just say? There's other broad strokes or broad brushes, however he says it here. And I'm going to play it again just very quickly. It's very short. In regards to what we're talking about here. Listen, this isn't about the Howey test. This is about the Reves test. Stay with me here.
That's central test. It's called the Howey test. There's other broad brushes with regard to this as well.
Other broad brushes with regards to this as well as what digital assets are securities or not.
As to when something is a note, called the Reves test.
When something is a note, it's called the Reves test by Thurgood Marshall.
Marshall wrote.
And while we're talking about that, we need to understand that there are different qualifiers when it comes to the Reves test and what qualifies something as a note of whether it falls into a security obligation or a non-security obligation. Please go watch that video from yesterday. It's XRP A Note. And please go watch that and you'll see the thumbnail. It says here, a note is a debt security obligation repayment of a loan at a predetermined interest rate within a defined time frame. Notes are similar to bonds, but typically have an earlier maturity date than other debt securities such as bonds. Here's the big part. Notes can be used as currency. Please go watch the video. And if you think about the collateralization of the ledger with cash reserves and other assets to back central bank digital currencies, for which we already know is a fact, are launching and piloting off of the private ledger from Ripple, then those debt obligations could be really represented as notes of XRP that could be used as currency. And we know here Daniel Masters from CoinShares tells us back in 2018 that everyone there in the future of finance clearly knows without question that Ripple is going to be out and out regulated.
At the moment. So you've got the DAHs and the R3s of the world who are saying, hey, we can give you a blockchain without a native token. That is the thing that makes me throw up usually.
And that's him cracking on R3 for launching their platform without having a token. And hello, introduce XDC from there after that point. Keep listening.
Because I think it takes away all that developer power I was talking about before. Then you go to the other end of the spectrum, the Moneros and Zcashes and the zero knowledge proofs systems that are out there. You know, I don't think in this current environment they're going to get. I think they're going to be under attack, basically, from because if I was a regulator and I was going after a coin, I wouldn't go after Bitcoin. I'd go after Zcash and Monero for sure, because you know that they're much more obscured. And then you have, you know, in the middle, you have, you know, sensible people like Tezos who have a more sort of mature approach to that, sort of a truly democratic approach. And you have other coins that are just out and out regulated. Ripple will be a coin that's so, you know, you've got.
And there you have it. And that is what I believe. And the reason I played you that clip from 2018 about Ripple is another coin that'll be out and out regulated, which we know he's referencing XRP the token. But the reason I played that to finish this video is to simply say to you that if, in fact, we are going to be used in our full-scale intended use as a bridge asset to the world, maybe the way forward is by it being technically a note. We know that the full-scale intended use is for the central banks of the world and other major institutions. If this is going to become the most reliable asset for the world to use to bridge settlements, then maybe this becomes a path forward. I'm not a securities lawyer, so I don't know. But what I do know is that we should be asking the question that when Gary Gensler is broadly defending the SEC's position that he believes the majority of digital assets are in fact securities, why does he always mention the Howey test and the Reves test? As DAI always says, words mean things. There's a reason why he's using these tests to defend his position. We need to dig in and find out why he feels it benefits the SEC for this test against most digital assets and specifically against XRP. That's going to do it for me. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe, leave a comment below. Make sure you check out all the links in the description and comment box. They are products and services that I use each and every day. I can tell you right now, there's only one thing better than buying crypto. It's buying tax-free crypto at I Trust Capital. But you got to click the links. I'll catch all of you on the next one.